All right, we might get started now. Thanks for joining us, everybody, on this, our first ever morning webinar as part of the GSQ UQ webinar series. Thanks for joining us at this slightly unusual time, but we've done that to be able to accommodate our very special guests who are joining us from Canada and the US today. First of all, I would like to respectfully acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we gather today, all of the lands, which is the Turrbal and Jagera people in Brisbane, and of course, other traditional owners around Queensland, Australia, and the world. And for today, especially the United States and Canada. We recognise the continuing connection to land, waters and culture, and we pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Now I'm just going to kick off with a short introduction to what the GSQ is up to, which many of you will have heard me speaking about before. At the GSQ, of course, we love a good collaboration. As you know from this webinar series, which is a collaborative effort between myself and Rick Valenta at the Sustainable Minerals Institute, and of course, much of the other work that we do. Today is all about critical minerals collaborations and some of the relationships that our little survey has developed on a more global scale. I will give credit to Vladimir Lisitsyn, the manager of our mineral systems team, in bringing these speakers together for us today and in representing the GSQ so adeptly within this international group. So today we will hear from Louise Corriveau and Chris Lawley from the Geological Survey of Canada, as well as Albert Hofstra from the United States Geological Survey and Dave Houston from Geoscience Australia. So to set the scene very quickly, in November 2019, the Australian Prime Minister signed a deal with the US President for the supply of Australian rare earths and other commodities to the US. That agreement also includes a formal research relationship between the geoscience agencies, Geoscience Australia and the US Geological Survey. It's since expanded to include the Geological Survey of Canada, which is fantastic. With our advanced programs in Queensland on critical minerals studies, the GSQ are also involved in that collaboration, ably represented by Vlad Lisitsyn. And it is that relationship that will be the focus of today's webinar. In 2020, another agreement was reached between the Australian and Indian governments to support India's Made in India policy for homegrown manufacturing. And within GSQ, we're also working on a number of other additional partnerships, which we hope to be able to announce soon. It will include a collaboration with JOGMEC, the Japanese Oil, Gas and Metals National Corporation, under an MOU that exists with the Queensland government. Unfortunately, today, it's a national holiday in Japan, so JOGMEC are unable to join us. The Geological Survey of Queensland has a number of programs running concurrently through this last year and this. As a result, we've been very busy, especially in the mineral space. I won't go into our Strategic Resources Exploration Program, which has run from 2017, other than to say it is due to finish at the end of June this year. So we're busy finalising deliverables, which you'll be able to see in a combined face-to-face and online workshop in August this year. In contrast, the New Economy Minerals Initiative is in its second year with another. We also have our industry grant scheme, the Collaborative Exploration Initiative, which was funded under NEMI for another 5 rounds. Our New Economy Minerals Initiative is broken into 2 main streams. The first, Hidden Value, aims to expand on what we already know and maximise what we already have. It includes such activities as the reanalysis of existing core, much of which was only ever assayed for a limited suite of elements and certainly not such things as the rare earths. We are applying the same principle to our old and existing mine sites, examining the concept of secondary prospectivity for critical minerals in mine tailings and waste stockpiles. We're also doing a lot of work on deposit characterisation, taking a representative set of drill core from significant deposits around the state and undertaking complete characterisation of those samples to develop a fully comprehensive data set on the state's known new economy minerals. The second stream is more focused on supporting exploration for new mineralisation through pre-competitive data acquisition and research. The key to all of this is our integrated approach, not only in how we structure our research, but in the research itself. All of our projects are interrelated with crossovers and flow-throughs of information and discovery. And the success is entirely dependent on the strength of our collaborative relationships, that ideal triple helix of government, academia, and industry. Each strand of the helix brings its own perspectives and expertise, and each is essential to develop a holistic view. Our collaboration under the New Economy Minerals Initiative includes other government agencies, some globally, academic institutions, and our very strong relationship with industry. We have fantastic buy-in from companies for participation in the work that we do, donation of samples for research for our collections, and sharing of data publicly in what is traditionally a very secretive industry. Our first step when it comes to critical minerals is to understand what we already have but might have missed or overlooked. So we're taking the approach that what was mined 50 or 100 years ago, or even 5 to 10 years ago, does not match with the expansion of demand for a much larger range of commodities. Many new economy minerals or critical minerals are not primary ores, but are found co-located with other more conventional materials, such as cobalt with copper, indium with tin, and so on. Therefore, it stands to reason that a significant component of historical exploration and analysis ignored the full value present in a given deposit. We're building a comprehensive and world-class data set of critical minerals in known deposits, as well as a reference library of significant deposits around the state. Rick Valenta and the team at the University of Queensland have been working with us to develop a series of 3D deposit atlases, which many of you know about, and which are from significant deposits. Our flagship projects under the New Economy Minerals Initiative explores the concept of secondary prospectivity, defining the value of mineral and metal assets left behind in tailings dams and waste stockpiles. This project is led by Anita Parbaker-Fox from the University of Queensland and represents another, of course, collaboration with UQ. We also hope to work more closely with Geoscience Australia on this project. Many of the sites that we are examining are abandoned. That is, that they must be managed and maintained by the Queensland Government at significant cost to the taxpayer. There are significant resources, including critical minerals, remaining in the ground and in tailings and stockpiles at these sites. Recommercialisation on the basis of that value would transform them from taxpayer burdens to royalty earners for the state, and the reprocessing of tailings would alleviate significant environmental legacy and would also satisfy principles of a circular economy. Picture on the right gives an overview of the distribution and size of abandoned mines across Queensland. Potential value remaining of these sites is huge but poorly defined, and yet they remain one of our most promising and easily accessible sources of critical minerals. A second flagship project, also run through the University of Queensland, because we really like them a lot. We do actually collaborate with other people sometimes, is that of sustainable methods for rare earth processing. Feedback from mineral explorers prior of the New Economy Minerals Initiative was that the environmental damage associated with rare earth extraction in other jurisdictions around the world and the associated cost was a strong deterrent to exploration and mining of rare earths in Queensland. So quite simply, there is no exploration without a clear pathway to production. So in this project, the UQ team, led by Paul Gow, but including many others, is examining the application to rare earth processing of bioleaching using bacteria, phytomining or plants, and low temperature, low acid hydrometallurgy. We will be testing these techniques on a variety of rare earth ore types available in Queensland, including the Mary Kathleen type, which is thought to be a skarn, phosphorites, peralkaline volcanic rocks, IOCGs, laterites containing scandium, bauxite red muds, and mineral sands. The image on this slide is courtesy of Anthony van der Ent at the University of Queensland and shows rare earth concentrations in fern pinnules as an example of the potential for phytomining. Bioleaching experiments have begun with ore collected from the Mary Kathleen tailings in northwest Queensland. The goal is to identify the bacteria that contribute to weathering of the rock pile and therefore may be instrumental in releasing rare earths. So we can see here some of the sampling and some of the bacterial cultures underway, but it's a little early for results just at this point. The phytomining or phyto-extraction project is also underway, using an example here from Mary Kathleen. We have some plant species that have anomalous rare earth concentrations, but nothing that you would call a hyperaccumulator, which is what we really need to go down the phytomining path. However, the project is still young. We've only at this point looked at one site, but there are plans for the team to visit the Peaks Range volcanic site next week. So we'll have some new results soon. We're also doing a lot to generate new critical minerals projects and open up new ground for the next generation of deposits. So this includes looking at rare earths in a long belt of volcanic rocks, members with anomalous to high rare earths along the eastern coast of Queensland. The Peaks Range project is an active rare earth exploration project. It's up the north here near Claremont. I don't know if you can see my mouse. GSQ geologists are working to expand our understanding of the volcanic evolution and the composition of this region and to better define rare activity of eastern Queensland. We've also spent a lot of time looking at the potential for rare earths in Queensland's giant phosphorite deposits. I believe Dave Houston might talk about this in a little bit, so I won't go into a lot of detail. However, the map on the right there shows the location of known phosphorite deposits along the margin of the Georgina Basin as it flanks the older Mount Isa inlier in northwest Queensland. We know that some of the most common rare earth minerals are phosphorites, so it makes sense to look at these and see if there are also really good rare earth concentrations. Some of the pioneering work on rare earths in phosphorites was actually done by Paul Emsbo at the USGS, so we're simply building on that work. In northwest Queensland, a rare earth resource is already defined for a small phosphorite deposit. That's the red dot on that map, but many of the others have never been looked at until now. We have some really great results from our early investigations showing a strong enrichment of rare earths in some of those giant phosphorite deposits, but I won't talk about that now, and much of the ongoing work will actually occur in collaboration with the University of Adelaide. So I don't want to steal the thunder for my excellent guest speakers here today. I'll just finish up. None of the fantastic work that's done by the GSQ and our friends and collaborators is of any use to anyone if nobody knows about it. We won't find the next big deposit sitting in our offices, whether it's in Brisbane or elsewhere, telling ourselves how good we are. So we're committed at the GSQ to running regular workshops for industry, sharing the ongoing work that we're doing and any up-to-date results that we might have, and also to hear from industry and other partners what is important for them and where the knowledge gaps might be. So just a little plug for what's coming up. Our next workshop will be to deliver the final results of the new discovery program, which sits under the Strategic Resources Exploration Program, a lot of government jargon. This workshop will be in Mount Isa on the 26th and 27th of August. We will also stream it online if you'd like to attend remotely. And if you're here watching this webinar, you already know about our webinar series, which is run, of course, in collaboration with the Sustainable Minerals Institute and Rick Valenta at UQ. So just a plug for our next webinar, which will be on Thursday, the 27th of May, and back to our usual afternoon time slot. And the topic then will be social performance in exploration. The link is on the screen now. And if you've missed or want to go back to any of our past webinars, you can see the recordings at that link as well.